We heard the rumors, then we heard the on-scene reports, but they told us they were lies. They were fake news. They were misinformation. FEMA would never discriminate based on political affiliation in a disaster zone. Never, never, never. The mainstream media was adamant, and so was the deep state. Well, friends, we now have in our hot little hands proof that they did. We're going to talk about it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are definitely things that the mainstream media will not cover. They told us these were lies, and now we have the proof. Let's jump into it. So a whistleblower has come forward with the text. Now, this is just one instance, but it is an egregious instance, and you're going to find that the FEMA response to this instance is a little underwhelming. That they were told to discriminate against Trump supporters, they were to not give them support, and to make sure that they were not eligible for disaster relief. And what happened to this person? We're going to find out. All right, so no thanks to the mainstream media, who doesn't actually do investigative journalism anymore. They just take whatever the deep state tells them and then basically just repeats it. They're stenographers at this current administration, and you just watch. These stenographers will turn into sharks and harpies as soon as Donald Trump gets back into office. But a federal disaster relief official directed employees to skip over the homes of Donald Trump supporters while assessing the damage from Hurricane Milton in Florida. Something we were told would never, could never happen. Now, this is from the Daily Wire, so hat tip over to Ben Shapiro and his gang over there for asking such deep and provocative questions like, what is a woman and am I a racist, right? In the Matt Walsh movies. And asking the question of, like, hey, there's all these reports of people saying that FEMA is discriminating. I wonder if that's actually true. Well, the answer is yes. In messages reviewed by the Daily Wire, FEMA supervisor Marn, apostrophe I, Washington. Now, just from the name, I kind of know where that's headed. Instructed workers to avoid homes, quote, avoid homes advertising Trump, as they surveyed Lake Placid, Florida, to identify residents who might qualify for disaster relief. Yikes. That's not good. The government employees told the Daily Wire that at least 20 homes with Trump signs or flags were skipped from the end of October until November due to the guidance, meaning that they were not given the opportunity to qualify for FEMA assistance. At least 20 homes. And this is the ones that apparently this whistleblower had taken pictures of. So how many of the other employees didn't take pictures? How many of the other employees didn't note how many were missed? We're probably talking about at least 100, maybe hundreds. The message was reportedly communicated both verbally and in a group chat used by the relief team. Whew. That's pretty. How do you get away from that? They wrote, in the government system, messages such as Trump sign, no entry per leadership. Trump sign, no survey. It is unclear whether the same guidance was issued elsewhere in the country. We don't have whistleblowers there yet. And we don't have whistleblowers telling us whether or not whole sections like North Carolina were skipped entirely because they determined that all those areas were red areas. And I don't mean danger areas or anything other than politically red, Republican. So we see notes in the government system that houses were intentionally skipped due to the fact they had Trump signs. We know that direction was given by a supervisor of FEMA to skip Trump houses. Let's see how FEMA responded. This is the whistleblower said this though. I know they're short-staffed. I thought we could go help and make a difference. When we got there, we were told to discriminate against people. It's almost unbelievable to think that somebody in the federal government would think that that's okay. The employee, however, felt this blatant political discrimination was wrong. I volunteered to help the disaster victims, not discriminate against them. It didn't matter if the people were black, white, Hispanic, for Trump, for Harris. Everyone deserves the same amount of help. All right, so how this was in Highlands County, by the way, in Florida. So that's what happened. Now, FEMA's response was that they confirmed that the agency, this is FEMA Supervisor Chad Hershey, confirmed that the agency is investigating, stating we are aware of it and taking proper action. Now, I think you are like, well, I feel very confident because this clearly never happened, just like the mainstream media told me so. And now that it has happened, I'm sure that they're going to just, I mean, we've been told this is unthinkable, that they could never do that. What they decided to do was they decided to remove from the leadership the person responsible. Not fire, not, I mean, I think that's basic. Not only should they be fired, but like whoever hired them should be fired, right? I mean, we should be going like 2 levels deep or something like that. Anyone who followed this directive should be fired, right? But that's not what happened. They were removed from their responsibility, given a different job. That's a far cry from what we would expect, right? For something that's unthinkable, something that's so unconstitutional. And let me get back into this. We were told that this could never happen. And then just one whistleblower comes out and shows that not only has it happened, but it happened over a period of time. Potentially, definitely dozens of houses. Potentially hundreds of houses in this instance. How many other places were these type of things sent out? Was this supervisor acting in line with things that they heard from above them? We don't know. The investigation has been sealed. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened to this employee. We know just about nothing, except for the fact that this outrage happened and then nothing happened in response. Except the hundreds of people didn't receive any assistance at all. Why? Because they were discriminated against. Does this sound like a lawsuit to you? Absolutely should. But then, if they sue the federal government, who ends up paying for this? You and I. The taxpayers end up paying for the, not the mistakes, the intentional disregard for the rule of law, for their petty political vendettas. And this is what we're talking about with the deep state. This is what we're talking about. It's not necessarily some cabal getting into a dark room. It may be people like Marnie Washington deciding that they hate Trump so much that they're just going to use the power that they have to order everyone below them to skip all the Trump houses. Someone maybe further up the food chains said, I don't like how red and how Trump supporting those counties are in North Carolina. We're just not going to send any aid. Do I have proof of that last one? I don't. I have the reports on the field. I have the rumors, which shockingly seem to be far more accurate than the mainstream media these days. We're trying to get information. We're trying to use the sunshine laws to get freedom of information requests through, and yet we're having to pull this out of them. We're trying to, and we're being blocked at every turn, and then we turn around and being told, of course this never happens, of course not, and then we see the proof. We see the text messages. We see the documentation of the houses that were skipped purely because they were having Trump signs or Trump flags or evidence of them. These are homes devastated, damaged, and in need of assistance. But no, only the signs with Harris on them, only the homes that didn't have anything on them were receiving the assistance. We're going to keep on stories like this, and we're going to keep hammering them because, friends, this is what we're talking about with the deep state. This is what we're fighting against. These people literally would lock us in concentration camps if they could. They would ship us off to another country. They look at us like the Palestinians look at the Israelis. When they say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and they're talking about that, the folks over here in the United States are talking the same way about us. They don't want to move to Canada, friends. They want to throw us into the sea. They do not want us anywhere on this earth. You see this over in Germany, where they have been moving to make the AfD party basically a terrorist organization. The AfD over there is basically like the Republican Party. And because they deem it to be racist, why? Because it's anti-immigrant, because they're talking about absolutely insane things like limiting immigration, actually talking about removing benefits, financial benefits, welfare benefits from people who are there illegally. I know, radical stuff, just like absolutely insane stuff. They're not even talking about deporting people over there, and yet they're racist. So therefore, even being a member of their political party, they're trying to make it illegal. Everywhere you go. Marine Le Pen down in France. The Nigel Farage and his gang over in the UK. They're getting attacked on the streets while the police are standing by and watching, while leftists are physically attacking protesters who are peacefully marching in the street. But that upsets the leftists. So the leftists are taking out weapons and using them to beat people while the police watch on. We're being told, no, of course that's not true. And yet we have video evidence of it. Don't believe your lying eyes. Believe what the state tells you. It is some deep-level Orwell stuff. 1984 has become 2024. We are seeing it in other countries so blatantly. How many times did they take a shot at our current president-elect? And I mean that both figuratively and literally. The Secret Service. You look at President Biden and you look at Vice President Harris never going anywhere in public. And you say, that's just insane. Why wouldn't they be out there campaigning? Well, the answer is, and we found that out relatively shortly, was maybe it was because they didn't have any confidence whatsoever in the Secret Service. Dan Bongino is out there saying basically, because he actually worked in the Secret Service, saying basically that he has evidence and has talked to other people who have evidence that dozens and dozens of agents who should not have passed basic training, their basic training program, because they were incompetent and unable to perform the skills and the tasks necessary, some of them accidentally shooting in drills their principal. And I don't know if you know anything about Secret Service, but one of the cardinal rules is you're supposed to protect your principal from getting shot. You're not supposed to shoot them yourself, even in a drill. Well, that was happening, and those very same people are currently on protective details. People that the instructors all agreed should not be passed, and yet were passed for other reasons. Why were they passed? Well, let's just take a stab at that and say probably because of their gender. Probably because of their racial composition. They didn't have enough applicants of those minority groups, and so therefore what they did was they decided to just push these applicants through, even though they were clearly unqualified and unable to perform the duties required of them. But it didn't matter. And then, surprise, surprise, when we have major incidents. Is the Secret Service going to protect Trump, or is some supervisor in the Secret Service going to send out a text saying, don't actually protect anyone who is a Trump supporter or Trump himself? Because when you look at the Butler thing, it sure seemed like that's what happened, because they didn't seem to be providing any protection for him from an easily identified, obvious threat. Well, friends, the deep state is absolutely trying to take out Trump, and everything that he has and all of his supporters, they are against us. As Trump has said before, they're coming after me because they're coming after you. And I believe it, friends. I believe it because I see it. I hear the rumors, okay? I get the on-scene reports from people, and we are now getting more and more evidence in our hot little hands that prove to us decisively that all the things that we believed might be true are turning out to be true. Friends, keep your head down. We're going to keep pressing forward, and hopefully we'll be getting some change here. I hope that we have mass layoffs in Washington, D.C. coming up this winter. All right, friends. If you want to check out another video from this channel, thanks so much for watching. There's that on the screen right there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.